had never been particularly close to my stepbrother, Jake. He was 5 years younger than me, and when our parents got married 3 years ago, we kept a respectful distance. It wasn't like we disliked each other, but we weren't the kind of siblings who hung out or confided in one another. He had his world, video games, skateboarding, and hanging out with his friends, while I had mine, focused on my college applications, a part-time job, and planning for my future. So, when he knocked on my bedroom door one evening, I was surprised. He rarely came to me for anything. I set my phone down, rolling over on my bed to look at him as he hesitated in the doorway. "Hey," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "Can I ask you for a favor?" That alone was strange enough to get my attention. Jake wasn't the type to ask for help, especially not for me. I sat up, narrowing my eyes at him. "That depends on what it is," I said cautiously. He took a deep breath as if trying to gather courage. "Can you pretend to be my girlfriend?" I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" His face turned red. "Not for real. Just for one day. My friends keep teasing me because I told them I have a girlfriend, and, I kind of implied that it was you." I stared at him, stunned. "You what?" Jake groaned and ran a hand down his face. "Look, it was stupid, okay? They were making fun of me for never dating anyone, and I panicked. I didn't mean to say it, but once it was out there, I couldn't exactly take it back. And now they want to meet you." I crossed my arms. "You want me, your stepsister, to pretend to be your girlfriend? Do you realize how weird that sounds?" He looked miserable. "They don't know we're related. I mean, technically, we aren't blood related, and it's not like I'm asking for anything crazy. Just show up, hang out for a bit, and then we'll be done." I studied him for a long moment. This was ridiculous. Absolutely absurd. But Jake never asked for favors. He had always been the quiet one in our blended family, keeping to himself and handling things on his own. If this meant so much to him, did I really have it in me to say no? With a sigh, I shook my head.
"Fine.
But only for a few hours. And you owe me so much for this." His face lit up with relief. "Thank you. Seriously, you're the best." I had no idea what I was getting myself into. The next day, I spent way too much time debating what to wear. I didn't want to give the wrong impression, but I also knew I had to at least look like someone Jake would date. In the end, I settled on something casual but cute, a simple sweater and jeans. When I walked downstairs, Jake was already waiting by the door, bouncing on the balls of his feet. He looked nervous, which made me second-guess agreeing to this in the first place. "You ready?" he asked. "As I'll ever be," I muttered. We headed out and made our way to the park, where his friends were already gathered. The moment they saw us approaching, a few of them nudged each other, smirking. I could tell they had been expecting something else. Maybe an excuse from Jake or some last-minute backpedaling. But instead, here I was. Jake cleared his throat. "Guys, this is Emily, my girlfriend." I forced a smile and gave a small wave. "Hey." A tall guy with shaggy blonde hair, who I assumed was the ringleader of this whole situation, raised an eyebrow.
"Huh.
"You actually do have a girlfriend." Jake shot him a glare. "Told you." Another guy, shorter with glasses, studied me curiously. "So, how did you two meet?" I barely had time to process the question before Jake jumped in. "At a coffee shop. She, spilled her drink on me." I glanced at him, surprised. That was actually a decent story. "Yeah," I added quickly. I felt so bad that I bought him a new one, and we ended up talking. The guys nodded, seemingly accepting the explanation. We sat down at a picnic table, and for the next hour, I played along, answering questions about how we started dating, what we liked about each other, and even little inside jokes we had to make up on the spot. At some point, I realized Jake wasn't as uncomfortable as he had been before. Maybe having me there gave him a confidence boost, or maybe he was just glad to finally shut his friends up. Either way, the tension in his shoulders eased, and he started laughing more, looking relaxed in a way I hadn't seen before. Eventually, one of his friends leaned back and crossed his arms. "All right, I admit it. I thought you were making it up, but I guess I was wrong." Jake smirked.
"Told you."
As the group started packing up, I felt Jake nudge me. "Thanks," he whispered. Seriously. I just shook my head with a small smile. You owe me big time. I thought that would be the end of it. But things took an unexpected turn when Jake's friends started inviting me to things. Apparently, they liked me. I got added to their group chats, invited to movie nights, and suddenly, I was part of their world. It was strange at first, but over time, I found myself enjoying it. Jake and I started talking more at home. We bonded over inside jokes from his friend group, and before I knew it, we weren't just step-siblings who barely interacted. We were actually friends. One night, while we were watching a movie, he glanced over at me. You know, this whole thing worked out better than I expected. I smirked. You mean you accidentally got yourself a wingman? He laughed. Something like that. I shook my head, thinking about how different things had become. What started as a ridiculous favor had somehow turned into something real, a genuine friendship. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing.